Welcome to the Ride Boundless podcast. We were talking about you were riding. First of all, what were you riding and what happened to you on the 101?
So I had a Yamaha R6.
Beautiful bike.
So basically, I'm originally from Alabama, right? Coming to LA, I got a motorcycle to dip in and out of traffic to get to work at the time, right? So I was working in Calabasas, living in Hollywood. And basically, let me start with the first time I had a bike, right?
Yeah.
I get on the interstate. I'm doing the speed limit.
We'll go a little closer.
I'm doing the speed limit. Right. And basically, the first day I got on the bike, it was like this weirdest thing. It's like people yelling at me, hollering, and I'm going the speed limit, right? And this guy passed me on the motorcycle. We get to Calabasas, we have a conversation. He was like, hey, you better drive crazy or you're going to get hit out here, right?
Yeah.
That same day, I drive home, right? And it's this guy.
Is this the first day that you had the bike? This is all in one day.
This is the first day. Well, I had the bike for a while. This is the first day I had my license to get on the interstate, right? So I took my test. Now I'm able to get on the interstate with the bike. Now I'm on the interstate. This is just like a totally different world.
It's
right?
a whole experience, yeah.
So on my way home from work from Calabasas going to Hollywood, I was like, all right, let me floor it a little bit. This guy wants to race me, right? I mean, this guy was in a beat up car, right? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna burn this car real quick. I'm burning this car, and then we get to like Woodland Hills, and it's like stop, right? And something is telling me like split the traffic. Do not stop right here. And I split the traffic, and I look in my rear, and he's just like scurrying, just like. I was like, look, good thing I didn't stop between there because I could have been smashed, right?
Absolutely.
So come months later, I go to work one day, and every day I go home, I split traffic, right? Because it's just, traffic stops, let me get through. And I'm splitting traffic, and I'm splitting it pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
So
like we all do. The norm.
So then this truck just basically barrels over. It's not where he can get. He just comes over into the center divide or whatever.
Yeah.
Hits me, knocks me into this red car. I fall in the street. Luckily, I had on my jacket, my safety jacket. A BMW, I'm pretty sure he saw the whole thing happening, trying to get around the whole thing. When my bike hit, I fall back into the lane. The car basically pushes me like 8 feet. I put my feet up, and I'm like, luckily it was a low.
So your feet are against his bumper?
Yes. And he pushes me about 8 feet.
And you're sliding.
I'm sliding,
Fuck.
right? So I slide, but I'm not really hurt. I'm really mad because I'm trying to catch the truck, right? I get up. I try to get on my bike, and I'm like trying to turn it on. When you're in an accident like that, you just all like hyped up.
Yeah, you don't think about anything.
And you forget that the gear is in 5, right?
Yeah.
So you can't crank up the bike, but you're just like, I'm trying to get to him. And next thing you know, the truck is like gone. And it's like, all right, let's go. So then this biker comes behind me. He's like, hey, man, let me help you up, get you to the side. The guy in the BMW is like, hey, let's call CHP for this. I hit you. I'm like, well, the truck really hit me. You bounced me into the street. I ended up breaking the glass on the guy that had the red car, right? So he gets out of the car. He's like, let's go to the side. When the guy mentions CHP, he was like, give me 1 second. He goes to his car, and he takes off. I'm like,
he bails.
I was like, my insurance would have had to pay for him. I'm guessing like, okay, maybe this guy didn't have insurance, right?
Right.
So
what's he have in the car or some shit?
So CHP comes, they write up the report. They're like, okay, well, a guy in BMW hit you. I'm like, yeah, he hit me, but the other guy hit me first. He was like, all right, cool. What speed limit? Where you going, right? So in my mind, I had to think like I was above, 15 miles per hour because you're only supposed to go about 15 when you're splitting traffic.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I was going 15 miles per hour, although probably going about 40. Right. So they write up the report. I get home. Not till I get home the next day that I feel that my leg is like, broken or something like that. It wasn't broken, but I was hobbling around. I was like, man, it didn't feel that way before. And the way that I had to get home was, the funny part is, if you have AAA, just know this. If you have a motorcycle, they don't come get you. It's
not at all.
It's like the stupidest thing. It's like, all right, you'll come get a car, but you can't bring a trailer.
A flatbed, yeah.
Just come get my bike.
Well, they charge extra. It's the RV and boat or something emergency. So you have to pay your regular membership, and then you got to pay an additional $40 for the motorcycle tow.
Which doesn't make sense.
A year.
If you're bringing a flatbed, right?
Here's one more thing. I think the bigger issue is it's not the extra $40 for that extra service.
Right.
It's that no agent tells anybody. And everybody I know that has AAA tells me the exact same thing.
Right.
I had an emergency. I called AAA, and they don't fucking cover me.
Oh.
And I know every biker would pay for it. But the fact is, we don't know about it. They don't inform us on it. And we deal with this inconvenience.
Yeah, AAA is bad now that I think about it, because I had an incident 2 weeks ago. I'll tell you about that one after this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I ended up, because I didn't want to spend the $40. Basically, the gear on the side was where I rest my foot was off. So I had to ride the bike home with one hand. So basically, I was switching gears with one hand, and I'm just like, all right.
Because
So
your arm was fucked up
yeah, this arm was kind of scraped.
and you couldn't move your fingers or anything.
I couldn't move my fingers.
So you were literally what, clutch?
Yeah.
Putting it in gear and just kind of like letting it off and
Just going that
Oh,
way.
man.
But the worst part was it didn't hurt that bad, but
Yeah.
I knew it was like, I can't move this.
yeah.
But when I got home, my leg just started hurting. I'm like, man, what was really the issue? Like, what really happened? Now, the thing with AAA, let me tell you what happened a few weeks ago. So I have a BMW. If you guys have a BMW, just know that there's an extra option for you to have your seats fold down in the back, right? So if you don't buy that option, you just have the standard where you can't get in the back. And there's
And it's just like that little middle bullshit.
there's a back plate even behind the middle. Even if you pull the middle out, there is a back plate, right? I guess it's part of their safety thing, whatever. But what I ended up having, I had a shoot that day, right, with a model. And basically, I ended up locking my keys in the trunk. So it was no way for me to get in the trunk. I called AAA. This is in Long Beach. They come down. I guess the first guy that came down didn't know how to get the car into neutral to get it onto the truck.
Yeah.
Well, the keys are in the trunk. Nobody can get in the trunk, can't get it into neutral. So I told him, hey, just jack up the car, watch this video up on YouTube, do that. He was like, nah, man, I'm just going to cancel the call. I spent about
What?
Yeah, I spent about 8 hours trying to get somebody out there from AAA to like get my car. By that time, they was like, "Nah, we can't get anybody out there. Like, it's gonna be tomorrow." I'm like, "My car is just sitting here. Like, you guys were supposed to be out here like 8 hours ago." So what ended up happening? I ended up calling BMW's roadside service, which is basically they use AAA.
Right.
But I guess they knew to call this guy. I mean, I don't know if I should put his business name out there, but Lars Towing, they came and helped me
Shout out to Lars.
So basically, he brought the truck out there, and what he did was he positioned the flatbed and just kept pushing it under the car until he got the
Right.
car onto the thing. Then we got it to the BMW dealership, and I guess they had the computer just to open it. So it was like, oh man, and I had to pay $200 for that just to get my trunk open. So don't ever lose your keys in the trunk of a BMW.
And
So
don't rely just on AAA.
yeah, and well, AAA is supposed to reimburse me for that. They was like, well, we'll just reimburse you if you can find a tow truck company to come out and get you. I was like, all right, let's just do it.
I had on my Dyna, my Harley Davidson Dyna, I was in downtown and I don't know what happened. My starter, my battery, something was acting out. So luckily I was on one of the hills and I was like, let me just kind of push start it. So I went down the hill, tried to push start it. It wouldn't click. I walked it to like a gas station, probably about 6 blocks, called AAA. I was waiting for 6.5 hours in downtown LA.
Yeah, I know. And you could be in the worst situation, and it's
And
just
it-
like
it-
they're not going to do anything. They're
right.
like,
It's a sketchy neighborhood, but but what's funny is sketchy neighborhoods are not what sketchy neighborhoods were in the 80s.
Right.
Because like sketchy neighborhoods in the 80s were like, oh shit, you get robbed. That's it. We're getting robbed. That end the story. Now it's just like, this is really dirty and I don't like being here,
Yeah, I know. People come by and just be like, why are you just sitting here? But yeah, I love having a motorcycle, but my wife told me right now, just take a break from it. She was like, let's raise our kids. Once they get a little older, I can get another one. And I actually want a Harley. I had what they call a crotch rocket, but I want a cruiser next. So hopefully
it's a different riding experience.
Yeah, it is.
It's for me, when I turned 18, I wanted, I got a Mustang, right? Well, I got tickets. I got like 3-4 tickets a year, and then I got an Eagle Talon, which was a all-wheel drive, twin turbo, blah, blah, blah. And that was tickets and tickets and tickets and tickets. And then all of a sudden I got a truck, and now it's super convenient. I can carry shit, I can handle stuff. I don't want to speed, even though you speed, but you don't speed. You don't do, race car speed. You
Right.
do, 80, 90, and you're cool. And it's just better. And I feel Harley's the same way. I feel like the only way I can ride a crotch rocket is if I'm on a track.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can do it. Because number one, it's too much power. Number two, it's just too much power. Number three, it's too much power.
Well, the reason I went for the power, right, because the first bike I had was a 150, right? So it
Yeah.
wasn't going really fast, and people was like, "You're gonna get killed on that." bike."
Absolutely.
So you have to get a 600
At
or
least.
higher,
Right.
So for the most part, that's the reason I chose those type of bike. But my father-in-law, who just passed away recently,
I'm sorry to hear that.
he was a Harley man. He was a motorcycle cop here in LA. And basically, he taught me a lot about motorcycles. Loud pipes save lives. So
100%.
And that's something that you need. And that my next bike will definitely have some loud pipes and things like that. But now with me working from home and things like that, I don't have to get in this rush hour traffic. I can start to enjoy a bike when I get one. So
I'm gonna recommend another option too. This company right here, Super 73.
Okay, let me check them out,
bro. They make an electric bike. It's practically an electric motorcycle, but they put pedals on it so you can be allowed to ride it on the sidewalk, in parks, anywhere. I ride it through this neighborhood every day, and I ride a motorcycle every day. I ride everywhere, but as soon as I get back, if I got to run a quick errand, you jump on this thing. It's like $2,500. You jump on this thing, go real quick to 7-Eleven, go real quick to get some coffee. You go to the. It's faster because you're not. I'm on Ventura and Laurel Canyon.
Right.
Traffic's insane.
Yeah.
This thing you could just go through the river. There's like side roads through the river.
Okay.
It's the funnest thing in the world. I put my 2.5-year-old on it. He'll sit right in the front. I'll just hold him and just.
So it's an easy bike to ride then.
It's the simplest thing to ride.
Okay.
And it has pedal assist. So if you want to just, it's basically 25, 50, 75, and 100%. If you put it on 50%, every time you pedal, it does like 50% of assist. Or you have a little throttle.
Okay.
And they look fucking amazing.
Oh.
I'll show it to you once we're done with the podcast.
Yeah, definitely show it to me. We got another shoot coming up with a model, and I want to do something different, right?
Dude, you'll lose your mind when you see this.
Because we're all about viral video.
Put on the TV. No, tell me. You're all about viral videos?
Yeah, we're all about viral video right now with some of the things that I'm doing at my company. And right now we work with a lot of models here in LA. And, doing something different on a bike may be really cool. So,
especially motorcycles, the whole Palmdale area, that desert, that would be awesome.
Oh, there you go.
This thing is, it goes 35 miles. Yeah, it's got the fat tires, so you're not worried about the road or anything like that. It goes 35 miles an hour.
Okay.
50-hour charge. I'm super hooked. I'm like, I ride this and post this more than, I got a 2020 Street Glide Harley Davidson with fucking $3,000 brakes, crazy exhaust. I post this more than anything else. And then I got a BMW, which I love too.
Oh, okay.
So let me stop that. Oh, so let's get into that. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
So my name is Edward Austin. I'm originally from Alabama, born and raised. I ended up moving to San Francisco to go to college and things like that. So I went to school for marketing. That's what I got my degree in. But I got into like filmmaking and things like that. I don't want to go too much into my crazy story. I had a crazy girlfriend in San Francisco, so I ended up jumping to LA, getting into films. And then I got back into marketing, right? So right. I got into my core was advertising. So here in LA, I worked at a big advertising agency. After that, I ended up working at 20th Century Fox, which is entertainment. And then after that, I got into adult entertainment, right? Adult entertainment is pretty much just like at Fox. It's entertainment.
But how did you get into it? Was it like, they found you, or you found the job listing, or there was a guy like, hey, you want to work in the adult entertainment,
So, usually in marketing, you're usually at a company for about 2 to 3 years if you're lucky, right?
Right.
So I started, when I was at Fox, I was like, let me start looking for another job. I'd been here a little while. And I found this company, right? They didn't, the ad wasn't for adult. It didn't say anything about adult, anything. It's like entertainment marketing, right? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply for it. I go out there and they kind of explain to me the job. Like, okay, right. We're in this part of adult. Like, porn, yes, is adult, but it's not porn. And they kind of explained to me like how it works. It was live cams, right? So you have basically a live feed to a room with either a girl, guy, trans, or whoever. And basically, you're just in the company and you're trying to get traffic to that room, basically, and get conversions and things like that. I had to go back home. Who's now my wife was my girlfriend at the time. I said, hey, I got a pretty good offer. And they actually offered me a lot of money. I was like, are you okay with me taking this job? She was like, no, I don't want you touching anybody. But I was like, they're in the room. And then I showed her the contract and she was like, oh yeah,
No.
That's fine. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. You know, it taught me a lot, right? So, you know, when I first got into advertising, I worked at an agency, right, here in LA, and it's just like the Wild West, right? It's crazy, madhouse. You have like large accounts, right? You have like $100 million accounts, and then I got into entertainment, and it was very like at 20th Century Fox, it was very laid back, right? Basically, you just paid everybody else to do the work, and you was pretty much the kind of manager. When I got into adult, that's when I started to learn about the tech side of things, right?
Right.
You know, we were in the same room as the server guys, the developers, everybody like that. And so that's where I started to learn how to pretty much grow my own business, right? So, you know, I stayed there for 5 years. Usually I was I was at a job between 2 to 3 years, like I was saying. But I stayed there 5 years, and then I left, and I started doing my own thing. And from there, that's how I started enjoying LA, right? Because I didn't have to get up, travel for work. This was
Sit
before
in the traffic.
right.
The
This was
405.
before the pandemic, so I knew working from home before the pandemic was like, okay, this is the only way you can live in LA. It's just like, no, you got to be doing your own thing. You got to be creative with it, and you got to know how to, you know, put yourself out there. So, and from there, I launched my business, and so far it's been so good. So, and now we're starting to launch other products. And these other products are geared towards content creators. So people can pretty much, as long as you're 18 years or older, upload anything onto our site, market to your fan base. We will also help you market to your fan base and try to help you cut out a niche and grow your business as well on our platform. So
now this is becoming an issue because OnlyFans, which is the largest company that does, you know, this kind of process, the rumor is Facebook's buying them, right? And they're going to clean out a lot of, the nude or 18 and over content. So the people during, especially the pandemic, that have made a career and a life, and it's been life-changing for them, they're not going to have a platform to do this on. So that's where your platform's coming in, right?
Right. So,
and what's the name of your platform?
It's called itsme.com. It's itsmii.com.
And then question, are you going to, well, answer that question, and we'll continue.
Okay, so as far as OnlyFans, it makes sense, right? Because they've grown to a level that is like, hey, why not take these billions of dollars from the advertisers, and a company like Facebook and all of those guys can actually come in and clean everything up, and they have to clean it up, right? Like I said, I work for a big advertising agency. The bigger advertisers, they want brand safe sites, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be mixed in with sites like that, and you can see that happening right now, where you see what's happening to Pornhub, right?
Right.
Anybody that's in the adult space is going to be a target once you hit the top, right? It's just like, it could be the littlest thing. It's like, oh, some guy that's older is kissing a younger girl. Well, it actually happens on Facebook a lot, but Facebook doesn't get that kind of, press.
Facebook's kind of grandfathered into like social media.
It's kind of unfair in the adult market, but it is what it is. So if you're OnlyFans, it's like, all right, I don't have to deal with that legal part. Plus, I can get billions of dollars. So yeah, I can see it happening where they're going to start to kick the adult content creators off. Now, the bad part for them is they have built up so many fans on that site. Now you're going to lose those fans. And now it sucks for them. But
for the models.
Correct. It's going to suck for them really bad. But, what I have to say is like, hey, get started early before it happens.
Right.
So I would say,
because this is just in negotiations or it's more than that.
More than that, I guess Bloomberg released a report the other day that basically they have the investors coming in. So if they got the investors coming in, then they're pretty much set. Because once the investors wipe them out, they're really the ones that's going to own the site at that point, and then they sell it to Facebook.
Right.
So that's probably what's going to happen. And if Bloomberg came out with it, I'm guessing it's true. It's not like it's a little site coming out.
A little fluff, a little smoke, to be like,
Yeah. So, and people are starting to realize that.
And that's a turnoff automatically, just that news for the adult content.
Right. And I think people are starting to catch on, and they're starting to look, because our site has started to grow really fast the last couple of weeks. So we're starting to see more content creators get on there. Just want them to start posting more and just start pushing us more, and it'll all come through. So,
a random question, 2 questions. One, for OnlyFans, because it's gotten to the point where there's a lot of people think that OnlyFans is adult content, but there's, fitness models, there's, nutritionists, there's a bunch of things, What percentage would you say is porn?
Well, I would say,
and I know it's a guess,
my guess is about 65% is porn. I mean, porn made the site.
Right. Nudity.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, not porn.
Yeah.
Nudity.
Well, nudity made the site what it is today, right? So it's unfortunate that they're starting to push those models to the back. If you go to OnlyFans right now, what you're going to see on the front page is like cooking shows. You're going to see like rappers. You're also going to see fitness, that type of thing. You don't see the adult side. So, but they're the ones that's on the back end that's pushing traffic to the site. So if you go to their Twitter page, you see a lot of links that says, go to my OnlyFans page, go to my OnlyFans. So they're doing a lot of the work to actually get the people there to the site. And at a certain point, they're probably going to get screwed on the site. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way. I mean, OnlyFans was not the first one. Twitch did it as well, right? You had the girls coming onto Twitch, playing video games in their bras, sending links for the guys to go, see a little bit more. And then Twitch, pretty much got up there and got bought out by Amazon. And then Amazon came in and said, oh, you guys get off my site. Or you can stay on the site, just don't do that, right? So, it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time either. Some people use adult to get to a certain space, and then, because there's a draw, right? People want to see nudity. And the thing about it, in advertising, sex sells. We say it all the time, but it's the truth.
It's a fact, yeah.
Hey, you go to a motorcycle page, you got a hot chick sitting on a bike, but it's going to be an ugly bearded guy riding that bike later.
Right.
But you're not going to put that on your page. So it's just the way it works.
So fucked up, huh? Fucking poor bearded dude. They're all sad now. Oh, it's true.
It's the draw. And unfortunately, we use it as a draw to get you there. And then it's like, all right, we don't need you anymore. We're this big, we're a top of mind brand. We'll move on. So
do you think pages like OnlyFans, Twitch, your page, everything, do you think it's a threat to the porn industry? Because now girls are like, you know what? I don't need to do porn. I can work for myself. I can do my own thing. Is it a threat to the porn industry, or is it a gateway, or whoever does porn, and whoever does this, period?
No, it's a little bit of both. So it is a gateway because you need both, right?
Right.
You need the porn guys also. You need to be in, some of the girls, that top girls actually on the adult side, they actually do porn, right? And those people have created a fan base for them because they're in the video. Now they know their name, and now they come to the site. They actually come to OnlyFans not to really look at the videos. They come to OnlyFans to do the chat, right?
Right.
Because you can actually chat with the content creator on that site. So when you come in there, you're like, okay, I've seen you in a better video here, but I'm coming to OnlyFans to actually speak to you in person because I want to know more about you. And then you pay for that chatting part, right? So most people see the front end of OnlyFans, where it's like the videos and stuff, but the chat is what really makes the girls the money on that side.
Right.
So it's really two different spaces. And plus, the content on OnlyFans is more amateurish because it's really them. They just set up a camera in their room and they do their thing.
Does OnlyFans do webcams? No. It's just post.
No, just post. I mean,
webcams is like a different.
I mean, they're partially owned by a guy that owns webcams. So
got it.
My Free Cams, OnlyFans is kind of owned by the same company. So
what?
Right, so
he's a genius.
Yeah, and the person that owns it is a really cool guy. So I met him a couple times, and yeah, he owns both platforms. But for the most part, it's a different mold. You know what I mean? You get to watch the video and you get to chat. I mean, looking at OnlyFans when they first came out, I didn't really understand it, right?
Right.
But then you start to look at it. It's really Instagram, except for you have to pay for it, right? They just charge you for it. But everybody was going in the DMs on Instagram, trying to hit up the models and stuff like that. Now it's like, all right, you can go in the DM, you can hit up the models, and they'll respond to you. But if you want a picture or something custom, them saying your name or saying like, oh, you're the one, right. then you got to pay for that. So
right.
But
the levels of subscriptions and pay for this and pay extra for that, it's as a business, it's so fascinating.
Yeah, but if you look at OnlyFans, they blew up during the pandemic.
Oh, 100%.
And the reason that
They were going to blow up without the pandemic. It just probably would have taken 5 years or 6 years. But
right,
now
it
with
would
the
have went
pandemic,
slower, but people need conversation. You know what I mean? And those girls actually offer a solution. They're not your therapist, but they
offer solutions.
They offer a solution that gets you into a frame of mind like, oh, things are better. You know what I mean?
I just didn't know that part of it that I'm trying to wrap my head around it, that the driver is chat.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because, you're sitting at home.
Nudity, I guess you can get anywhere, right? You go to this website, that website, but the chat, that's
something you can't get. And you can connect with the person that you've seen on this site, right? Everybody want to talk to Will Smith, but, for the most part, he's not going to answer you on Facebook.
On Twitter or something.
Yeah, I want to talk to The Rock. Rock, why haven't you responded to my DMs? But
where you at? How come you're not on the podcast, man? Come on.
But if they was on a service like this and you're paying them for their time, The Rock probably is super expensive. But if I wanted to really get in contact with them and I can pay for them, I would do that. You know what I mean? Because I just want, be like, hey man, check out my idea. Just come on my site, do that type of thing. But during the pandemic, we were all locked down, right? And they was always talking about mental health, and this is the thing that people don't understand about porn. It does help you a little bit in your mental health, a little bit, right? It gives you that release. And now being able to talk to someone, right? Whether it's on a personal level or, you just want to see something, it actually helps you out, right? We thought we was going to have all this, like abuse and things like that going on. We did, right? But with the chat function on these sites, it actually helped a lot of people. So we all need contact. Human contact. And the pandemic just locked us down, and OnlyFans was the way to go, right? They had the chat function and all this other stuff. So
that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's an amazing system. And you're right, that's a big issue in especially in the U.S. because we're so grown. And I've talked about it a million times on this podcast, but we're in a country where it's like that this neighborhood separated from this neighborhood, from this building to that neighborhood, this color, that color. There's so much things dividing us that when shit hits the fan, it's like nobody even knows to talk to the neighbor.
Right.
Or we're so stuck in our own business, especially cities like Los Angeles, New York, Florida. Nobody talks to nobody. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
That's what all these mass murders are always about sometimes. It's like it's a mental health condition.
Right.
And
if you look at it, I mean, I went out a couple times, and I know back in the day when we used to go out, we used to just, talk to people, and you don't see anything like that no more. It's just like all online. And now when you get out there, it's just like, people are like, hey, man, how you doing? It's like, no, but can I get your Instagram? Or can I get your Snap? Yeah. I was like, I'm not on Snapchat. I got an Instagram, but I'm barely there. Catch me on Facebook. They were like, Facebook is old.
Facebook's for old people.
It's like, all right, man, how do I keep up with the younger crowd, right? And that's the thing, being in marketing is like, okay, well, the older people are on Facebook. The younger people are on TikTok and Instagram and those other platforms. And there's platforms jumping up all the time. So, you have to stay with the times, and you have to do that. And I had to end up creating a Snapchat just so people could connect with me. I'm like, all right, well, let me create it right now and connect with me here. So, but for me, I start to look towards technology too to help me, You
have to.
Yeah, you have to. And it makes your life a little bit easier, but you don't want to get sucked into that portal where you're like no longer communicating with people that are like right next to you. So
yeah. I was listening to this guy talk about social media and people being on their phones, and he's saying, look, be on your fucking phone, and be on your phone a lot, but you have a choice. You can be a consumer or a creator.
Correct. And
be on your phone to be a creator, you're gonna make fucking money, and that's where to be. But if you're just consuming, they got you.
Yes,
they got you.
And being a creator, I think that's where the world is going to go, right? Everything is turning to automation, right?
Right.
So how are you going to make money? And you have to start thinking about the future. Right now, McDonald's is testing because right now they're saying people are on unemployment. They don't have enough workers. All right. They're going to start building robots now, right?
Right.
So to be able to fill the demand. So you have to figure out like, all right, if they building robots here, so I need to entertain people, right? Because when people are on their phone, they want to be entertained. I'm on a bus. I want to watch a video.
People
want to
be entertained.
They want to be entertained. So
read a book, whatever the case is.
So you should start to become a content creator. You should start to look at what you do best, right? And then put it out there. And you start to realize that people are become your fans and they want to see more from you. So opening up platforms like this, like It's Me, and you see the OnlyFans and the other ones out there, it's going to be probably the future, right? Because people are going to have to jump on there to actually have a job. Because once everything starts to move to automation, where do you go? And gas prices is too high to be saying you're going to just go drive Uber right now. So I'm just saying.
Uber, even during the pandemic, people trying to do Uber, it's just the prices and the competition's too much. It just doesn't make sense in a lot of cases. Unless, my understanding is if you do it full time, like if you do 8 to 10 hours a day, then it's like, okay, this is a job. But if you try to do like 2 hours here, 2 hours there, 2 hours there, you're wasting time.
Yeah, and I get the emails all the time from Uber. It's like, we're looking for drivers. And I'm like, nah, if I'm not going to be out there full time, it's not going to work out.
It's not going to work out. And then there's the expenses, brakes and services and oils. And what I'm excited, and I've talked about this on the podcast too, but is the Elon Musk was mentioning that in the next 2 to 5 years, you're going to be able to buy a Tesla, go home, and send your car to work. And it will drive at night and pick up and drop off and, all through the app. And you'll wake up and it'll pay for itself.
I doubt if they do that to give you the money. I know one of my buddies, he had just bought a Tesla, right? So he bought it on a lease.
Right.
And so when he went back, he was like, oh, can I just buy it, full? And they was like, no, we're going to turn this into an autonomous car later. And he was like, oh, so when my lease is up, I have to get the car back. And Tesla is like, yeah, you do. So Tesla is pretty much going to start up their own Uber, and they'll probably start to benefit off of that. So
bastards.
We'll see how that plays out. Because Tesla, yes, they're saying that on the front end, but on the back end, they're taking back a lot of the Teslas too, and it's a market there for them. They're going to make a lot of money.
It's probably you would lease it out for 3 years, and they'll do it for you for 3 years, but then you got to return it, and it does it for a lifetime for them.
For them, and so they're going to make money on the long run.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about being in business.
Wow, their cars are being paid off in the first 3 years.
Right.
Fucking.
You paid off the car for them to use in the long run. So they basically eliminate their costs with you. Yeah, you may make a little bit of money in the beginning, but once they get that car back, make sure when you go out to Tesla, if you're buying a new Tesla, let me know if I'm wrong. If you put it on a lease, they won't allow you to buy it back. So they're going to keep that car.
Yeah, it's crazy how they have little features that they could just turn off and turn on, like the supercharger. Like the first set of Teslas came with free supercharger where you could charge it as much as you want. But if you sell it to somebody, they take that feature off. They stuff like that. Or in Florida, when the hurricane happened a few years ago, they basically said they were selling the Teslas. They're like, okay, do you want the long range or the short range? And people were like, well, I want the short range. And some people were like, I want the long range. When the hurricane hit, they sent out an email and they said everybody has long range now, so they're all the same capacity battery. Right. It's just their software is limiting. They're just paying for a button to be turned on.
Right.
And it's like a $10,000 button. Like okay, now we allow it.
Yeah, and now you're better off trying to find a hacker that can hack your car nowadays. So and that's the future. That's how the internet started. Right. We started off with just the basic, and then you start to get hackers that come up in there, and now everybody can do everything. Right. But companies have started to learn, even Tesla, everybody is like, sell you on the subscription, right? Because that's more long term.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I bought a security camera the other day, and I'm like, oh, man, this is a great camera. So I'm hooking it up, and I get there, and it's like, oh, in order to see it on my phone, I got to do a subscription.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I thought I was buying a cheap camera, but now I'm hooked into this subscription. So
this cloud-based, blah, blah, accessing.
And they say cloud. It's really a server, right? I'm like, dude, I work in tech. It's a server sitting somewhere that doesn't cost them anything to store this information.
Especially this amount of information.
Right. And they deleted it in 3 months anyway. So it's like, all right, you're charging me for this? Like, God dog it. But they got you, right? Because you look at the upfront price.
Yeah.
And then now you'd have hooked it up. You're like, all right, now I done went through all this trouble hooking it up. You
pre-wired it,
Yeah, you're like, now I got to buy the cloud. And you do it. And you're just like, well, it's only $3 a month, but at the end of the day,
it's $3 plus $4 plus $3. Then your wife's phone, then the other subscription, then this, then you got access in a remote area,
and then you all become a slave.
That's right.
Because that's what.
But what's the solution? I mean,
the solution should be the government should come in and regulate a lot of this stuff.
But isn't it too much for the government? I mean, the government can't even handle the shit we got going on now.
I know the government likes to solve easy issues, right?
Right.
And
they don't even like to solve the easy issues. I mean, fuck. Well, how much do we pay for taxes in California? Look at our roads, dude.
I know, right?
Our roads are tore up. We should have like roads made out of gold for what we pay.
You would think that, but yeah, California charges a lot of taxes and stuff like that, and you don't see much from it when you're the one paying the tax. Yeah, what can the government do?
What can the government do?
You know what?
There's no
I should
way.
have never brought up the government because you're right. It's nothing that the government is going to do except for bleed you, just like the other companies are bleeding you too.
I think the correct solution would be. I mean, I don't know what the solution, but if I was to guess, it would be you would have to buy like the more expensive shit. You know, you would have to buy, instead of buying a $30 camera on Amazon that they're going to trick you into a $3 subscription, you got to buy a $600, $700 system that the hard drive is in your house. You know, you could hook it up online and you pay for it and it's done. There's a quote somebody told me that I like so much, and it's like, I can't afford to buy cheap shit. You know? Yes. Because you buy it, it breaks, and you got to buy it again, and it breaks. I can't afford to buy cheap shit, or I can't have the luxury to buy cheap shit.
Right, and you're right. And my tax guy actually told me one day, his quote was, it costs more to be poor. Yeah. And he was right. When I thought about it, when I didn't have money, it was like, okay, if I go down the street, I wouldn't pay for the parking garage, but when I park on the street, I get a ticket from running in the store for like 2 seconds.
Right, you got a $65 ticket instead of a $5 parking garage.
Right.
But then you didn't have the $5 to pay for the parking garage, so you had no choice but to go to the fuck. It's like a cycle.
Right. And he told me, he's like, hey man, you don't want to be poor, so let's try to make this money right now. And and that's what you have to do. You do have to buy the more expensive stuff. And it is what it is. I mean, we
do it with our iPhones. We do it with our iPads. We do it. It's just when it comes to like little knickknacks, people like look for, quick. And Amazon makes it so easy.
And that's the problem. That's the marketing trick, right? Is to make it easy on you to get in there. And then you're hooked and then you can't get out, right?
And they make it so cheap that you're like, it's only $30.
Yeah. And and when I say slavery, more times these days it's more mental slavery than anything.
Right.
And I don't want to quote Kanye, but he was a little bit right. You know what I mean? When people
I was going to ask you about Kanye too.
I was going to say, like, when he was saying it, when he says stuff, sometimes we look at him as like, this guy is crazy.
I love Kanye, man.
But at the end of the day, he's actually looking forward. And I was like, wait a minute, this dude is totally right, but he just doesn't explain it the correct way.
Yeah.
So
when he explains it, but like when he writes it, his music, it's amazing. And the whole slavery thing. Again, I kind of agreed. Not kind of. I agreed 100% with what he was saying. But I think the media took it to a whole nother level, and they fucking twist it, and that becomes another problem. But he was on point. Yeah,
go look in your bank account right now. I bet you got subscriptions everywhere, and you're just like, wait a minute. When the last time I actually watched this many videos of Netflix?
Yeah.
We should be sharing accounts. Now Netflix knows that people are now sharing accounts. Now they want to try to block that. But, Kanye was looking forward, you know what I mean? And he was right. And I think a lot of times we get on people like this and we call them crazy.
And for the listeners, what was he right about? What the quote about the slavery?
He was talking about how we was becoming mental slaves. And I think it was on the terms of his shoe. He was talking about how he's making his shoe and, why he's charging so much and stuff like that. And he was like, you guys are becoming mental slaves to Nike, right? And that was his concept. It was some other companies in there. And he was kind of right. You also saw that from LeVar Ball a little bit. It's like the people that people mostly come down on are sometimes usually the people that are right. When Albert Einstein was, talking his thing back in the day, people actually said the same thing about him. Now we say he's a genius. So,
right.
Some of these people that you see in the media and the media doesn't treat them right, sometimes you need to step back and take a closer look to what they're saying, right? Sometimes they're not able to put it into words that we all understand. But when you really start to think about it, you're like, okay, wait a minute. This guy is really white. And he's talking to all of these people that are higher up than we are. And he knows the marketing game now. And he's putting it out there. We just need to,
and he's killing it.
Yeah. And we just need to understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you understand it, then you start to realize, all right, let me make my life a lot simpler, right? Because you can survive, I think the pandemic taught a lot of people you can survive off a little bit, right? It only takes a little bit for you to live. You don't need all of these other things. You know what I mean? So, Yeah, I mean, I like to listen to Kanye. I like to listen to business-minded people and take what they're saying and look at it from a standpoint of, wait a minute, what the media puts out there is not true.
Especially when somebody's cracked the code so fucking well.
Right.
I mean, that's who you got to listen to.
Right.
I think the issue is that society has us talking a certain way and explaining ourselves a certain way, that when somebody doesn't talk in that way, it's like, what? That fucking guy's crazy.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people, like, there's another one that was crazy, and it was such a big deal back then, and now I watch it, I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's genius. Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, okay.
Remember when he did the do it, let's do it? When he did that shit, you're thinking, he's fucking crazy. He's out of his mind in front of a green screen. They're going to make fun of it. But you listen to it, word by word, he was on point.
Yeah.
He's on point. Just fucking do it. Whatever you have, write your ideas down, be creative, do it. Fucking do it. Do it for yourself. Like, you listen to it. I don't know. It means way more now to me than.
And he's right. Don't be afraid to fail. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And people are too much afraid of failing. You know what I mean? And that's why people hold themselves back. You know what I mean? Yes, we have all these things out here, but for the most part, you have to start looking at yourself and don't hold yourself back.
100%.
Get yourself out there. And if people critique you, take some of that critique and say, hey, wait a minute, I could get better at doing this. Or this critique, nah, that don't mean anything. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what people say, because everybody has an opinion.
And nobody
but which
fucking
one really
cares.
matters? Yeah.
Nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
I forgot how it went, but somebody's like, whoever thinks about whatever you do a certain way, guaranteed in 5 years, they won't even remember what the fuck happened.
Right.
Or what it was about or anything.
Watch some of Dave Chappelle's old videos. His comedy is horrible, right? We could say that then. But now we're like, this guy's a genius. Every time he come out with a segment, we're just like, oh, man, that's funny as hell.
It's true, because back then I really wasn't a fan. Yeah. And going back, I'm like, whoa, like, this shit's insane.
And you grow. And
especially the KKK one. That one was crazy. But it was so far, like, dude, this is, that's how silly it is.
Yeah, and the one thing you can't get away from is time. So go ahead and start now. Don't waste your time just like sitting there thinking about it. Just put it out there. Just do at least something, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Be consistent.
Right. Just put a camera in front of yourself and say, all right, this is what I do. And just do it, put it out there, and people may say, oh, that's bad. But if you keep doing it, you start to get better at it. It's just like practice. Yeah. And you get out there, and then next thing you know, you got like 12 people that love you. And then that 12 people tells another 12, 24 people. And that's how you keep growing that fan. That's how you keep getting all those people that come in. And then next thing you know, everybody's following you. And then you started here. So it's all about just starting. Some people hold themselves back. There's a lot of talented people out there.
We make excuses.
Yeah.
We make excuses. Like, I don't have the right camera, and I need this cable, and I need this headphones, and I need this system. And we make excuses for ourselves when it's like, dude, it's right here.
Yeah, just take your phone, just put it right in front of you. We make it simple on our system. Just take your phone, and you can go to the bathroom and put the phone up like it's a mirror, right? Right. And you're talking into the mirror. You imagine how funny you are just talking into a mirror, right? And post that online and see what happens, right? See the response. You need to get that response, and then just go from there.
Now, being in this and being a professional at this, do you see a difference? Because people keep telling me, Robert, the podcast is great. It's awesome. It's growing numbers worldwide. I love it. But people are telling me live, go live, do live, start streaming, start this. Is there, as a professional in marketing, advertisement, entertainment, is there a difference between live and pre-recorded?
Well, let me say this from a technology standpoint. In the algorithm of a Facebook or YouTube now, they want more live content, so they're putting more weight on live. So that's the only reason I would say go live, right? Because if the algorithm has more weight to it when you go live, then go live. Right. But if it doesn't have any weight there, you don't need to be live. I mean, you have so much creative control when you're recording, and you can say, maybe I don't want to put that in there. When you're live, you're live. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. Now, if you're looking for controversy, then live is fine. You don't care what you say, right? But for the most part, it depends on the system, right? If it's Facebook, yeah, go live. If it's YouTube, things like that, yeah, go live. But other than that, it depends on the system. So you have to look at the technology, what they're putting the most weight on when it comes to the algorithm of ranking you higher and things like that. And that should be your reason for going live.
What do you think of websites like Patreon?
Patreon is in a good space. Patreon came out and did more mainstream than adult, but a lot of people do adult on Patreon too. So we'll see how they take the backlash once it happens on there. But for the most part, Patreon is good.
Yeah, for anybody starting up, any creative.
But we're better. Business is a competition. I like to give people their flowers, but I also like to say we're better too.
So are you going to focus only on adult, or are you going to focus on all creative aspects?
All creative.
So comedy, podcasts, cars, motorcycles.
Right. So we're running a podcast right now.
That's right. You just launched it. You recorded your first episode last week.
Yeah. So let me tell you, when I worked at an advertising agency, my boss on the digital side is now the head at Spotify. And
shout out to him.
And he came and caught me at a party. He was like, "Hey man, start a podcast. Like, this would be great for your site." Like, that was like the first day we had lunch. I was like, "Nah, I'll tell one of the models. Maybe they'll do a podcast." And then I started thinking about it. He was like, "Hey man, let's meet out. I want to show you some numbers." So we met up at the mall. Everything was still locked down. This was before everything in California started opening back up again. And he started showing me things. He's like, people are actually searching for sex on podcasts and on Spotify. I was like, "Oh dang, this is." He was like, if you build one right now, you may be ranked pretty high. He didn't want to give me no guarantees or anything.
Right.
I was like, all right.
He's like, you're a fool if you don't. You got the equipment, you got everything.
So what we did was we shot a couple episodes right now, and we sent it over to him. And he actually gave us some really good feedback about the podcast and things like that. I'm not hosting the podcast. As you can tell, I'm not that vibrant of a host. But I got two hosts. I got two hosts on there right now, and they're really good. But right now, what we're doing, and this is what I say about putting it out there, right?
Right.
Because we had to get the critique from him, right? And he was like, "Hey, if you do this," he was like, "You got the bones. You just need to do this and this and this."
Maybe he's the one that's searching. He's like, "We need more sex, but I'm going to use my influence." No.
Hey, when he was explaining to me about the sex part, he started talking about swingers. And I'm sitting there. He was like, this is the thing. Basically, I was going on there and I saw a show about swingers. He was like, most of the episodes wasn't interesting.
Yeah.
But then it came to this couple. They was talking about how you first start to swing, and then that's when I got into it. So he said, and he explained to me the whole show. He was like, they go into a room and they watch the other couples do it while they do it, and then next thing you know, they're doing the swinging thing. And I'm sitting there like, oh, we're talking about the podcast, right? Not about your fantasies, right?
Right.
He was like, all right, cool. So
I'm sure that happens a lot to you, where people just fucking bring up random conversations.
And so then we had, it came back to another party. He was like, "Come to this party." So I came to the party. He saw the podcast. He was like, he laid out everything. He was like, "Hey, if you got the first 15 minutes locked down," he's like, "the rest is going to be easy for you guys, because you have a very interesting topic. And you have because we had guests, and he was like, you have very interesting guests coming on your show, and it's going to be really good." So we cleaned that part up. I actually went through, in the beginning I didn't have structure, and that was the thing that he mostly talked about. We kind of did it like we was in a party room a little bit.
Yeah.
But even though we're adult, it's kind of a party room. You got to treat it like a business, right?
Right. So
we straightened that part up the first 15 minutes, and we came through with a dope ending. And now he says it's legit. So we're gonna launch it. We'll see how it goes, and we'll just keep putting content out there and just keep getting better at it. And that's what you have to do. Just keep putting it out there, and everybody goes through it, even businesses. So
absolutely, and it's just, don't be shy. Fucking try whatever you want and just do it.
Right.
Like there's crazy, even stupid videos. Like my 2-year-old, I'll catch him watching a video of a car just running over paint tubes, and the car's just running in the tubes like in slow motion. Different colors. And you look, it's got fucking 40 million views, and you're like, what?
Right.
And then there's somebody else telling me there's videos of people just cracking their fingers. And it's just weird.
SMR or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, a couple of the models like, "Hey, let's just do some of these SMR videos." I was like, "Huh?" I didn't even know what it was.
This 3 weeks ago.
And so we actually shot one where a girl is just eating some carrots. It's just like
it's probably got 1 million views already.
I know. It's like, well, we haven't put it out there, but we're gonna put it out there soon. It's just like, really people just want to watch you, like your lips just move across some carrots?
So fucking weird.
I was
man.
like, all right, I guess. And it was easy to shoot, right? It's just like we just set up one camera. Usually with a production, you know, you set up this part, you stop it, reset up, and no, we just set up a camera and she's just doing it. And so that's what content creation is. And you start to figure out what people like. It's like, all right, they actually like these SMR videos, so let's just do SMR.
Let's just run with that.
Yeah, you don't need to see tits. It's just see somebody eating a carrot.
Yeah.
And for the most
And
part,
people like that.
Yeah,
That's
people
it.
want-
That's it. That's, you know.
like when I worked in live cams, this girl got tipped like $50,000, right? And you would have thought like, oh man, she must have did some wild, crazy stuff. No, the guy had to clean up her room. I was like, man, what? Like she just sat there,
Wait,
clean up.
repeat that?
Yeah. So basically, at the company I work with, right?
Yeah.
This girl had a webcam, right? She made $50,000. So we went back and watched the video, and the guy was like, I want to see you clean your room. And she cleaned up the whole room. Like she just cleaning up the room.
Vacuuming,
Yeah, it's
fucking dusting.
It's in private chat, and he's paying like $100 an hour, and it's just that. And then he tips her like another 30 grand at the end after she cleans up her room, folds up the
Wow.
clothes, vacuum up the floor. I'm like, man, can you have did that for your wife? I don't know, but you know, whatever.
Or
You know,
probably he did for like the last 20 years, and now he's like, I needed somebody new.
I was like, why not just bring in, you know, one of those sexy maids and just have her do it? But yeah, it's safer online though. But yeah,
safer.
but she made that much money in one day just by just cleaning up her room. And
then,
a lot of times too, one other thing is the customers actually perform for the models, right? Because we had two-way chat. A lot of times the model was just watching the girl, the guy or whoever on the other end do their thing. Why?
So the model actually watches the guy.
While they're getting paid. So, you know, sometimes the customers become content creators.
I thought it was a one way.
No, with webcam chat, you can do two-way. Sometimes you can even have what they call party chat, where
Right.
you have multiple people in the room and they all show their webcam.
That's
It's up to the customer
hilarious.
if he wants to show his webcam. But
Right.
yeah.
That's
So-
fucking hilarious. I got a friend. He would love to show his face. You lived in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
You know, back in like 2000s, they when you cross the Bay Bridge, they would have like the big billboards.
Yeah.
And the people that got caught with hookers and stuff, they would put their faces there.
Oh, I know that what that was.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. He wanted to be on there so bad.
Oh, man.
He wanted to be on there so bad. So he would love that.
Shoot.
But yeah, some
all you
people-
got to do is go downtown to get caught one on, I guess.
Yeah, but to get your picture, you know, that's the lottery right there.
Why were they was just trying to shame people? It's like,
They were trying to shame people, like to make sure people wouldn't do it, because I guess it's just happening so much.
yeah, when I was young, you know, I used to look at adult from a different perspective. I was like, oh, that's dirty, you know, that's nasty. But when you really look at it, like, people have to make money.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want someone to, you know, be working at McDonald's and getting abused all the time, or they could be on the street? Now we have to make it safer for them, and that's
100%.
That's my belief. Is like, hey, if we can like regulate it somehow, you know, make sure kids are not getting involved, make sure the people that are out there doing the work doesn't have, you know, somebody that's taking their money, you know, that type of thing.
Right.
It'll be all for the best. It's just like marijuana now, right? We can all regulate it now. We all get better marijuana. And, you know, we don't have to worry about nobody getting sick from the marijuana and stuff like that. The government is actually looking into
That's something I talk about a lot too. Just because you make it illegal doesn't mean people are stopping from using it.
Right.
The only difference is the people that use it need to buy it from sources that they don't know what the fuck they're getting. They don't know what's in it. They don't know who made it. They don't know if it's legit. They don't know if it's mixed. They don't know if it came from, you know, Colombia into Mexico into this place, and now they have like, you know, craziness. Right. So when you make it legal, I think about this especially for prostitution. Just because prostitution's illegal doesn't mean girls are stopping from doing this. But now, if they become a victim of something, they can't call the police. They can't look for help. They can't, you know.
And that's the bad part.
And same thing. I don't understand how a part of me, and again, some people can be like, shut up, Robert, what the fuck are you talking about? But I really don't get how we can watch a movie where people's heads are getting chopped off and arms are getting chopped off and fucking their bodies cut in half. But
That's
yet,
okay.
if you see tits or something, it's like, oh my God, that's terrible. That's a horrible thing. Why would they even do that? That's not professional.
And I would say people visit other countries, right? Because we take this American way and think it's the right way, right? It's really not. I went to Amsterdam, right? And the one thing that Amsterdam, this is before California made it totally legal for weed, right? If you go to Amsterdam, right, you know they got the red light district for prostitution, and then they got
windows where you walk by
right.
and you could just see people fucking.
Right, and you got the cops walking down the street to protect those people. And then you look at the marijuana business over there, right? And if you talk to locals in that area, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't." Most of them did not use
Don't even
marijuana.
touch it.
They don't care because it's legal and they can access it. They're like, "Okay, I don't want to do it." When you can't do something, that's when you really want to do something, right? And so that's why certain things that are illegal should be legal. So then you would actually have less people wanting to do it.
Right.
And we should just start to turn this thing into a mental health kind of issue. And, you know, I wrote a paper about that when I was in college. I was like, look, all drugs should be legal. And then we should put more money into the healthcare system, more so mental health, to help these people out. Because the reason that we run towards drugs, we run towards, you know, there's sexual addiction, you know, you run towards those things is because there's something else that's affecting your life that leads you to that path. So,
or not only that, but because it's so restricted that you think that if you go to it, it's going to help you out, and then you get more hooked,
right?
Because now you're doing it out of necessity versus, you know, casually trying something, saying, "Oh, this ain't for me,"
and then you have nowhere to turn, right? It's like everybody starts to shame you, and people don't want to be shamed, and that goes back to the content thing. It's like, oh, I don't want to be shamed. I don't want people to talk bad about me and about what I do and stuff like that. But you have to be, you know, one, you have to be different there. But here, you have to have someone you can run to, some people that'll give you support. And if we all start to shame these people that are prostitutes and all of this drug addicts and things like that, we never help them out. They're always going to be towards the streets. So, and that's the problem.
And again, by making it illegal, I think that's why we hear about the sex trafficking. I think that's why, you know, people are being brought in from different countries and being mistreated because it's so highly illegal. Again, where if it's just more open, you know, with regulations, restricted, you know, protecting kids, obviously, you have more control.
Right.
You know,
and if you look at porn stars, most of them will tell you, like, I actually want to do this. And that's what you want to get to the point. It's like, all right, these are the people that actually want to do this type of thing.
Plenty of them that want to do it.
Right. And you make sure you protect the ones that don't want to do it. You say, hey, you don't want to do this? What do you want to do? We'll help you out with this. And anybody that come to our site, if you ever need help, just hit up our support and say, hey, I actually want to do this. Like, yeah, you can do anything, and we can make a category for you, right? And we can say, hey, this guy, you know, he wants to, you know, bounce a balloon on his head or something like that.
Right.
And we'll make a specific category just for your niche, and, you know, you can put that content out there, and you might get some fans because it's unique, right? Nobody can do that type of thing. So,
does your website and like OnlyFans, do you guys certify who's on your page?
Right.
Like,
right. So anybody that becomes a content creator has to be 18 years or older, and they have to have a valid ID. So also with the valid ID, there may come more verification process. So just be aware of that. So we do have the basic verification. If we feel like, oh, that may not be, you know, your right ID or that doesn't look right, we may do more verification. So we make sure that everybody that's on the site is 18 years or older that is content creating. And then if you can pay for the site, you should be 18 years or older to have a credit card. So,
right.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we work that. So
cool. Well, I think we covered a lot of topics.
Yeah.
Let's try to do this again. We'll do a check-in. Once again, where can people find you? What's the website? What's your Instagram? How can people get a hold of you?
So my website is itsme.com, and that's itsmii.com. Our Instagram is It's Me Official right now. We're trying to work with Instagram. If you guys work with us at Instagram to get our real It's Me page. And then, just go to the site, connect with us. Any kind of questions you have, reach out to our support team, and we'll get to you right away.
Right on. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.